Hey guys, Sean C. Phillips here on that brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video today. They're gonna go out today, see what things came out, see what things are on sale today. A new release though, wise, some of the big things that come out today is the film Brightburn. That one releases today, as well as A Dog's Journey, the complete 9th season of The Walking Dead, that comes out today. Also though, the film The Hustle comes out. Now at that one, I teamed up with Universal and we'll be doing a giveaway for a Blu-ray copy of that one if you guys are interested. Now that one though is only, the giveaway is only open for people in the US since it's a US release. But if you guys are interested in winning a copy, all you have to do is make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel here, and then head over to my Instagram on today's post, which will be the video of me holding up the things that come out today. Head over to that Instagram and just leave a comment under there saying that you'd like to enter to win a contest, and I'll have the use the random comment thing and pick a winner, and then I'll message you guys a direct message on Instagram if you guys won. So if you guys are interested, like I said, head over to the Instagram and you guys can leave a comment under there saying you'd like to enter the contest. Also though, at the end of this video is going to be a whole bunch of brand new DVD and Blu-ray reviews for some things I received and review, to review and talk about for you guys. Some really cool stuff, and as always too, leave me comments below letting me know what you guys thought of the new DVDs and Blu-rays and 4Ks that I reviewed for you guys. If you guys have seen any of them, also if you guys plan on picking any of them up. But anyway though guys, let's get going and see what we can find today.
Into Target we go.
And one really cool thing I want to let you guys know is this Friday I'm flying up to Seattle to go and act in a new horror comedy film called Mr. Bleachers. So I'm going to be doing a vlog while I'm up there. I come back Monday, like Monday afternoon or so. So then that Tuesday I have my new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video up. But then probably like that weekend or so is when I'll have the vlog of everything that I do while I'm up in Seattle up. So definitely been looking out for that as well. But like I said, just want to let you guys know about that, and I'll put links below as well to the Mr. Bleachers Facebook page and the Instagram page for the movie and all that kind of stuff, so you guys can follow that if you guys are interested to keep up and see like behind the scenes pictures and keep up with the project and all that kind of stuff though. But like I said, really excited about that and want to let you guys know that that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend. Well, just got out of there and nothing was changed. I saw them with the cart over there in the section, like I thought they were changing out the movies and stuff, but yeah, I looked in it, none of the new actual movies were in that cart yet. This happens a lot in this location, when the stuff isn't put out yet. And I've talked about that a lot, so I may go to another one to see, but I don't think there's any exclusives in there today, so I'm not sure. But heading over to Walmart next though, and hopefully they have all their stuff out though. Into Walmart we go.
So in here though, they still have all the Avengers being advertised right here, but all the 4K seem to be gone. I didn't show on Target though, but in Target they didn't have any more as well of any of the exclusives or anything. All those ones were sold out. But like I said though, some of the things that came out today was A Dog's Journey. Now this one though, I will say, this was, I actually really like this movie. This was the sequel to A Dog's Purpose, and they have an exclusive here, a Walmart only exclusive that has both the movies here in this double pack on DVD. But I will say though, this was a really, really good movie, but really, really, really sad. It's one of those kind of films that's kind of like a Bicentennial Man, where you find yourself kind of like tearing up throughout the whole movie. It's got that kind of vibe. It's just really, really sad. It was, really good, but just really, really sad. One of the other ones that came out today is The Sun Is Also a Star, and I'll have a review of this one at the end of the video. This one though only released though on DVD, so those of you who are wondering, this only has a DVD release for that, and that one's $15.96 for that, and Dog's Journey is $22.96 for the Blu-ray and $17.96 for the DVD of that one. Also today though, this one here, Lego Batman, Family Matters. This one released here, and this one includes here a little mini Lego Batmobile thing in here, so that's cool. I don't know if that's an exclusive to Walmart. I don't believe so. I think that will probably comes with all of them, because the DVD one as well includes a Batmobile. Also today though, this Pokemon one released here. I think it's says Diamond and Pearl, the complete season. That one's $29.96 for that. Also today,
I think this might have been last week. I can't remember though. A Blacklist, the complete 6th season for $29.99, and SWAT season 2. That one's $29.96. That released today. But like I was saying, Brightburn, that came out. I really like this movie. This is one I would highly recommend you guys check out. Kind of like an evil Superman origin kind of story with this kid and stuff. I really thought this one was good. The 4K of that one's $22.96, and it's $19.96 for the standard Blu-ray and $17.96 for the DVD. Also though, the Brink, that one came out today as well for $12.96, and I believe there's a Blu-ray of that as well. Also here, Iron Sky, this one released, and this is $12.96, and I believe this was a sequel, I think, and I think like, can't remember who was in this one. Yeah, Tom Green is in this movie, and Udo Kier. I remember liking the first movie. If you guys have seen, and I don't know if this one has a Blu-ray or not, released for the sequel, but if you guys have seen this one, let me know if this one is worth picking up, because like I've said, I remember liking the first one. Also here, this one here, starring John Lithgow, The Tomorrow Man. That one released today. Another one, I don't know anything about that one. If you guys have seen that, let me know. Also, this Tom Sizemore film here, The Assault, that released, and that's $14.96 for that. And I believe this movie here, Unplanned, that one's $14.96. I think that might have been today, or maybe last week. And it's funny, they have, that's like the wrong price on that one. It says $22.96. And then like I was saying, The Hustle came out, and that one's $22.96 for the Blu-ray and $17.96 for the DVD of that one. And I think this was today as well, this one, Wedding in Graceland. But let's see over here too, if they change the section out. Let's see if anything here is different. And yes, it's actually all the same stuff again. This section, a lot of the Walmarts, have yet to change out this, but I did yesterday, though, go to another Walmart, and I'll put in some video of what I saw, because the other Walmart actually had some other stuff out, they changed out, that came out like, the first Tuesday of the month. Like I said, it's taken a long time for all this to get changed, but I did go yesterday, so I'll put in that video now so you guys can see the stuff that came out. But I did also, though, like I was saying, though, Walking Dead, the complete season 9, that one released today, as well as Blue Bloods season 9, that one's $29.96 for that. NCIS New Orleans season 5, that one's $29.96 as well. And I think these were all today as well. American Gods, Mayans, the complete first season, and Arrow season 7 here on DVD. That one also has a Blu-ray, and same with American Gods. And I don't know if this one was today. This Brooklyn Nine-Nine season 6. I'm not 100% sure on that. But like I said though, I'll cut in now the footage that I saw yesterday in Walmart. But this location here does have some different stuff that I have yet to see. This one here called How to Train Your Puppy. I've never seen this one in any of the other past ones. Like I said, since some of these ones have not had the stuff out. Let's see any other ones. This one here, Running Out of Time. I know I definitely have not seen this one. All these ones are $9.99. We Belong Together here. Donnybrook, this one is a Shout Factory release here. This one is $12.99. This one, Crown and Anchor here. So this is another one I definitely haven't seen. And this one here too, this St. Agatha, which is, if you guys have seen this one, let me know how this one was. This is directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, who directed, some of the Saw films, and he's directing the new Saw film as well. The one that's kind of like a reboot that Chris Rock wrote the story to and he acts in. This is another one too that I really liked. This one that stars Lin Shaye called Room for Rent. This one, if you guys have not seen this one, would highly, highly recommend you guys check this out. This is like about like Lin Shaye's character rents out this room to this guy, and she becomes like totally obsessed with him, and it's like this crazy situation of her obsessed with this guy and kind of what happens. But I really, really like this one a lot. Let's see this other one here, Jurassic Galaxy. This is definitely another one I have not seen anywhere either. Don't know anything about this. If you guys have seen this one though, let me know. Like I said, this is the one location that I've seen have this stuff out. That's why it's kind of this footage, because right now it's Monday, like I just said. So I, wanted to come here because this is the one that I was seeing, and I saw like one or two things last week, but I know there's still some stuff here, like Plus One, that I think I saw last week in the one location. It's really funny. It seems like some of them have some stuff, some of them have other stuff. And this past weekend, I saw a couple different films. The first one I saw was 47 Meters Down, Uncaged, which is, the sequel to the 47 Meters Down, which was, I think, like 2 years ago that came out, I believe. And then that one, if you guys remember, originally, that was going to be released under the title, like, Into the Deep. And do any of you guys remember how the DVD of that was, put out by some stores by mistake because the release got pulled because then the movie was getting a theater release? And I remember, like, in Targets and everything, you saw a lot of them had them in stores for, like, at least a week or so before they end up removing all of them. And when it comes to this one, though, if you guys haven't seen the first movie, though, this is its own movie. It doesn't really have anything really to do with it. It's just like the same title and the same director and everything. But so if you guys have not seen the first movie, though, it doesn't matter. This is like its own thing. And this was basically, though, about a group of these friends who went... the one's father had recently discovered these ruins in this cave, and the friends ended up wanting to actually see the place, and the father didn't know they were going to do this, so they ended up all diving down to look at these ruins that he had found. And of course, though, they scuba dive under this thing and go all the way under there and find themselves trapped with a gigantic great white shark under there. And it's pretty much, though, about them trying to survive and what they're doing. And unlike with the first movie, though, where it was Mandy Moore's character and I think it was her sister, all went down, were stuck in this cage going down, exploring the ocean, and stuck down there. This one wasn't stuck in one spot. This was kind of them moving around. It had much more action to it with what they were doing and everything. It wasn't as tense, though. The original movie had a much more super tense vibe with what was going on. This one, though, was a little different, but I actually still did really like this one. The other one that I saw was the film The Good Boys, which was basically, though, kind of related to almost like a middle school version of Superbad, about these kids who were have been friends for years, and they're just went into the 6th grade in middle school, and it was kind of them. The one got invited to this party, and it was and then it was kind of everything was kind of going wrong. It was the basis of something they took of the one's father, and what ended up happening with it. And it was kind of them having to go and fix what they've done wrong. Because I don't want to ruin too much, but I will say it's one of those movies, though, that the trailers kind of gave away a lot of the really good jokes. That's the one problem, though, that I've said in the past with comedy movies, is so often a lot of the good jokes and stuff gets spoiled in the trailers, especially because they were red band trailers, so they were giving away a lot of the raunchy kind of jokes that happened. There still was, though, some of the stuff that wasn't seen, though. There was still some really funny stuff as well, but it's just a shame, though, sometimes with comedy movies, I almost wish I could totally avoid seeing any trailers, so that there wasn't anything spoiled or anything for them. But if you guys saw either of those movies, though, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of them, or what movies you saw this past weekend, if you guys got to see anything.
Into Best Buy we go. In here, though, it looks like they're sold out of all of the Avengers Endgame steelbooks, but they still do have, though, a bunch of steelbooks for Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Thor, and Thor, the second Thor movie, those ones that released last Tuesday. But definitely doesn't look like there's any more, though, of the exclusive steelbooks. Let's see, though, over here, anything else new. Like I was saying, though, today, Dog's Journey came out, and that one's $22.99 for that one here. And then Brightburn here is $19.99 for the Blu-ray of that one, and $24.99 for the DVD. And yeah, these ones were today, American Gods. There was a Blu-ray of that for $27.99. Walking Dead, the complete 9th season, is $39.99 here on Blu-ray. And Arrow season 7 on Blu-ray, that one's $32.99. And then they have Mayans here for $19.99, which I've never watched this show. If you guys have seen this show, let me know how this one was. I know I heard it was kind of like Sons of Anarchy. That's kind of all I heard, is that's what I believe. It was kind of a similar type show. And then The Hustle here, that one is $22.99 for that one. And like I said, don't forget, if you guys are interested in the winning a copy of this one, head over to my Instagram and leave a comment under there if you guys were interested in winning a copy of that one. But over here, though, in the actual section, though, all this stuff here here was from last week, as far as I know. But they actually do have one copy here, one Avengers Steelbook left. So there's only one left. For all this is where they all were. But yeah, there's definitely though a lot though of the in the front of the Iron Man ones and those ones that came out last week. But other than that though, doesn't seem to be anything else in here too different today. And I showed all these ones last week that came out, like the Steelbook of Leprechaun, and then the Halloween limited edition Steelbook, the new one that's 4K. But other than that though, like I said, nothing else really too different here today as far as I can tell.
So anyway though guys, that's all for my DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video today. Like I always say, if you guys enjoy these shopping videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Also leave me comments below though, let me know though what you guys picked up on DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K, if you guys picked up anything today. Also let me know as well what you guys thought of all the new DVDs and Blu-rays that I reviewed at the end of this video. You know, if you guys have seen any of them, also if you guys plan on picking any of them up. Also want to say a huge thank you to you guys as well who have been helping, you know, to contribute to the Crave Roots of Evil Indiegogo page. If you guys haven't got a chance to check that out, it's a new film that I'm going to be acting in Texas. You know, I believe it's going to be shooting in October. But if you guys haven't got a chance to check that out yet, I'll have a link below for that as well, and you guys can find out about the perks and all that stuff for the movie. But anyway, though, like I always say, guys, thanks so much for watching and subscribing. Now stay tuned for the brand new reviews. And the first one I got here is from Lionsgate. This is also an A24 title. It's a film here called The Last Black Man in San Francisco. This movie, though, this is like an absolute top recommendation movie. This is one I did not know too much about, this one going into this, and I absolutely love this movie. This is actually the star of this film. He actually wrote the story to this movie, and it's basically the director of it too. Him and the director were, you know, really good friends for years and years, and this was a movie that they put together about their friendship and kind of, you know, and where they lived and grew up. And it's essentially, though, about these two friends who live in, you know, in San Francisco. And it's basically, though, it's done in this kind of, I don't know how to explain. They gave it like this otherworldly vibe to it, like this sort of magical feel to this with the music. And it's all like this classical, really amazing score. Cinematography in this movie too is absolutely some of the best cinematography I've seen. Like, it is so well shot. But essentially, though, it's about the one guy who, you know, he goes every day pretty much with his friend to where he grew up, to his old house where he grew up, but, you know, he had to leave that house. It was his grandfather's house, but he lived there with his grandfather and his mother. He lived there for years, but, you know, for one reason or another, they had to leave. And, you know, he always considers that to be his house because his grandfather built the house. So he's always going to this house, even though other people live there. And he doesn't like that it's, like, sort of not kept up as good as it should be. So he's always there painting it, fixing things up. If anything's broken on the outside, he's fixing it. The people who live there are always, like, yelling at him, like, why do you keep coming by here? Why do you keep messing around with this house? You know, quit coming here. But they just sort of, you know, put up with him going there all the time because he's not really doing anything wrong. He's just kind of fixing the house up and cutting the grass and all kinds of things. Anything that like kind of needs to be done, he goes and does it. But it's essentially, though, about the people who live in that house, though, all of a sudden move out and leave the house because there's like a huge argument, and they leave the house. And now him and his friend, though, now the house is abandoned. So he ends up going in there and kind of like moves, you know, he goes to his aunt's house and brings in all the grandfather's old furniture, moves into this house, and he's kind of squatting in the house. And so that's essentially all I can say about this movie, though. But it is a so well done movie. The acting in here is amazing. Danny Glover's in this movie. There's also a cameo in here with Thora Birch is in here, has a cameo. And then there's also one or two other cameos in here as well. But I really, absolutely, like I said, top recommendation movie. So well acted, such a great story. Definitely check this one out. It has on here, though, a commentary track on here. It also has on here, though, a making of, which is talking about, you know, the main star here and the director and kind of their friendship and how the story came to be and everything, and how, like, some of the people as well, so, like, some of their very first movies, and, like, some of the people, too, were people who were kind of known in the area that they grew up, that they included in here, or, you know, in this actual, in the film. But, like I said, definitely check this one out. The next one here is from Lionsgate as well. This is a movie that stars, you know, Jessica Alba and Gary Oldman, and it's a movie here called Killers Anonymous. And this is basically, though, about Gary Oldman's character, who you kind of like, it's one of those things you're finding out more and more about this story as it goes along. But you see, Jessica Alba's character is like undercover, and she does like kind of undercover work about trying to catch somebody, and they didn't have any luck trying to catch this person. And you see like what happens to her, like right after she's telling Gary Oldman's character, who she works with, how like that undercover operation didn't work out, and the person got away, and everything kind of went wrong. You see what ends up happening to her, and then it's kind of cuts to this group of these killers who are going to a kind of like an Alcoholics Anonymous kind of meeting, but instead of for that, it's for people who are killers. And they're all there kind of together, gathering together, talking about how long has it been since they've killed somebody, and how they're trying to not be killers anymore. And they're kind of like talking out all their problems. And like you kind of cut to like the stories, and you find out more about the people who are there, and it kind of cuts to some flashbacks of some of their kind of stuff. And Gary Oldman's character, though, is kind of like staking out the place, and you hear him kind of listening in, to what's going on. And it's essentially, though, you're kind of trying to figure out exactly what's going on here and what's he going to do and everything. It's an interesting, different kind of film here. Like I said, all about this group of these, killers who are all trying to stop, and then talking about like all their experiences and everything. On here, though, this has deleted scenes, alternate ending on this one, a director's commentary track, as well as a trailer gallery on this one. Now, the next one here is from Universal, and this is one that I didn't get to see in theaters. I was really glad I got a copy of this to review, because I really, really like this movie. This is just a fun movie which stars, Diane Keaton, Jacki Weaver, Pam Grier, Rhea Perlman is in this movie. And this is basically, though, about, Diane Keaton's character who, in the very beginning of this movie, she finds out that she's got cancer and she's not well, and she doesn't want to deal with treatment. She's kind of like, doesn't want to go through any of that. So she wants to kind of, as best she can, kind of forget about it. And she ends up moving into a retirement community, and she's not, she's one of those kind of people that doesn't really want to be living in this kind of a place, because like she's much more active and much more doing things, and she kind of goes in there looking around at like just kind of like sort of looking as if, why am I here, that kind of an aspect. And you kind of are wondering, why did she choose to go here? And she gets there and meets Jacki Weaver's character, who is her neighbor, and she's kind of like the bubbly kind of friend there, who's always kind of coming around bothering her and like saying, oh, you want to do this, you want to do that, and we do this here, and these nights we do this, and all this kind of stuff. And the one character is like kind of the head of the whole place, and she's all like a stickler for rules. She was the one who was in she's been in a bunch of different movies, but I always remember her from Observe and Report, playing the mother in the film, Seth Rogen's mother in that movie. But she's been in lots and lots of stuff, but she's like the rule stickler, and she has all these kind of things and says, you have to join a club when you're here, and there's all these things you have to do. And Diane Keaton's character, though, when she was, in high school, was a cheerleader, and she never actually went through with it for one reason or another, because something happened with her mother. And, Jacki Weaver sees her old cheerleading uniform and was like, and kind of encourages her to, unknowingly, Diane Keaton's like, well, I'm going to start our own cheerleading group. And it's just essentially, though, about her working together and building this cheerleading squad there, with all the kind of, the one who's like the head of the place with all the rules, like giving her all kinds of problems, saying, you can't do this is dangerous, and all this kind of stuff. And it's just basically them coming together, working, and it's all kind of deals with some of their problems that are going on in their own lives. And the one son who is really like, kind of controlling the one's mother's money and not giving her money for uniforms, and like kind of poo-hooing everything that she's doing. But honestly, though, like I said, I really, really like this movie. It's just a really, really fun watch movie here. Like I said, this one here is called Poms. The next one here is another one that I really liked as well from Universal, and this one stars Rebel Wilson and Anne Hathaway in this movie called The Hustle. This is a remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, and I believe Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, though, was a remake of another film as well. I can't remember what the one was before that, though. But this one, though, is basically, though, about Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson's character, who are con women, who kind of, meet men at places and kind of like, lead them on, or like kind of trick them out of money, and like that's kind of what they do, is they always kind of con people out of money. They steal their watches. They kind of just figure out ways of like kind of like getting money from men, and they end up going to this one area where it's like this area where they're kind of going for their next con of finding the next person, and you know they're both there together. You know, because they meet on a train and everything, and Anne Hathaway's character does not like that Rebel Wilson is kind of there as well, trying to con people out of money and trying to find the like next real rich guy there. So they end up kind of like having this sort of scuffle between each other, and Anne Hathaway's character figures out a way to kind of mess with Rebel Wilson and like kind of tricking her and making her think she's going to help her out, you know, to help her, you know, learn her tricks and everything. And that it's kind of like them having all these problems together, and then they like have this contest of trying to, you know, get this one guy, and it's like all these kind of things that they're doing. It is very, very similar though to Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, like story wise. There are some like things changed around plot wise and everything, but I've always been a fan though of Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson. I really like the stuff that they're in. I thought both of them were really funny together, and like I don't know, I just thought this another one that was another fun watch here. This one has though a bunch of different featurettes on the movie, and also has a commentary track on here with the director on this one. The next one here is from Paramount, and this is the 4K Ultra HD edition here of Rocket Man, which stars Taron Egerton. And also, though, Paramount sent over some fun promo items for this to promote it. They sent over this jacket, and I'm going to put in a picture as well of me, you know, wearing the jacket and everything in here so you guys can see it. But they sent over this jacket as well as these glasses in this really cool case. The Rocket Man, Elton John type glasses here, and they say Rocket Man here on the side. They also sent over a cool like a karaoke microphone thing here that is like show you guys a look inside of this one as well. I think this one you kind of can plug it in and it like plays the music through it. Like I said, it's a karaoke microphone here as well. So some really cool, you know, promo items to, you know, promote the release of the film here. But when it comes though to Rocket Man, this is, you know, this story of Elton John's life, and it starts off though with Elton John's character, you know, like I said, played by Taron Egerton, who did a really, really good job in this. Also really good, you know, at singing too as well. Did singing Elton John and singing very similar to his sound. Essentially though, it starts with his character going into an AA meeting, talking about his addictions and everything, and it kind of flashes back throughout Elton John's Elton John's life, showing when he was a kid and showing how he started, you know, discovering, you know, how well he could play the piano, and how it kind of like how things sort of started out from him, how he was starting out in the first, you know, group that he was in, how he got his name. It was his name from another actually member of the group, was called Elton, and he took his name, and kind of just sort of all through the ups and downs of his life, and it's all done as a musical, so it kind of has scenes though it would break into a musical sequence, and everyone was singing in here. You know, Bryce Dallas Howard plays Elton John's mother in the film, and everyone, like I said, did a really, really good job singing in this one. Like the songs were all really well done. Has on here though, feature-wise, where the features are on the Blu-ray, it has extended musical sequences on here, has a sing-along, and has 10 deleted and extended scenes. 4K wise though, this looks great on 4K. If you guys have the 4K capacities, it's a very, very bright, vibrant film, very, very colorful film, and that really benefits in 4K, because the big thing, like I've said in the past with 4K, that you notice is the HDR, which is the high dynamic range, which is the contrast levels and the color levels, and all around too. Always with 4K, I always notice it's just a much, much more brighter, color wise, and it really benefits. Since, like I said, it's a very colorful film here. Also in here though, it includes a Think You Know Me, Think Again, a special message from Elton John here for the fans of Rocket Man. So it's a message thing in here that Elton John, wrote, talking about, to the fans about the film. And the next one I got here is from Warner Brothers. They sent out a free copy of this one to let you guys know that this one was available. Now this one, I absolutely love this movie. This was such a fun movie. Definitely recommend you guys check this one out for sure. This one comes out next Tuesday. This is the Banana Splits, the movie. And, this is based on the, the Hanna-Barbera, series, which ran, I think it was from like 68 to 70s, 68 to 1970. And this is kind of like as if that show that, didn't get canceled in 1970, didn't end in 1970, went on and was still going on to this day and still like had an audience and kids were still watching it and everything. And essentially what happens though is it's about this this kid, is, for his birthday, his, parents end up getting him tickets to see a live taping of the Banana Splits, because this kid is a huge fan. He's obsessed with the show, absolutely loves it. It's his favorite thing to watch of all time. So he goes there, with his mother, his father, and then his brother, and then he also brings along his one friend. And the one friend is giving him a lot of grief, saying, aren't you a little, kind of like thinking he's a little old to be still watching the Banana Splits, because it's a real super kiddish show. But, essentially, though, beginning of this movie, though, you find out that the Banana Splits are these robotic characters, and they're getting like this one guy kind of controls them and updates them through the computer and everything. But in the very beginning, the Banana Splits, like the head of the studios, comes in and tells the producer, since I've taken over, I hate this show and I'm done with this show and it's canceled. And it's, basically the Banana Splits kind of find out about this, the robots, and it becomes a very bad thing. And it's essentially, though, the kid and his family and everything, and a couple other people who were in there who won, on the back of their tickets to stay at night, stay after the show to meet the Banana Splits. The people who are there, essentially, are, trapped in there with these crazy Banana Splits, and, who are coming after people in there, and there are insane death scenes in here. It's super, super gory. I really, really, thought the effects, gore-wise and everything, was really well done in this one. Has a real throwback vibe to this movie. But I absolutely love this one. If you guys have seen this one too, let me know what you guys thought, but highly recommend you guys check this out. Has on here, though, a bunch of different featurettes, about the behind the scenes, one on there talking about building the sets and everything for this one, like the look of it and everything, but really, really like this one. The next one here is from Warner Brothers as well. They sent over a free copy of this one to let you guys know that this one was available. This one's out next Tuesday as well, and this is The Flash, the complete 5th season here on Blu-ray. Now, this is one of those shows, too. I've only seen a couple episodes of this show, here and there, throughout the years, throughout the past seasons and everything. I remember that when I think of The Flash, as a kid, I remember the short-lived Flash series as a kid. I think it only was on for one season, but I remember as a kid, absolutely loving that, and, watching that one all the time whenever it was airing. And this is essentially, though, about the character who, The Flash, and, he was the scientist who ended up getting struck by lightning and ended up getting, through his experiment that he was doing, he ends up getting this ability to run super fast. And throughout the show, though, other people he just figures out that were involved in this have gotten powers, but some of them are using the powers for the wrong reasons and are become the super villains. And it's also him, going around and trying to stop them and trying to stop, the evils, where, in the town and everything. But it's a really, really fun show. This one deals too with some time travel aspects as well in this particular season here. On here, though, feature-wise, it includes the epic 3-part DC superhero crossover event with Arrow and Supergirl. That's one thing that I really like with the DC series, is how they have them all connecting together and they have them cross over. I also will say, too, I cannot wait for Batwoman to air. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing that. Always a fan, too, of Ruby Rose, so definitely interested in seeing, how that show goes and everything. Also on here, though, has a bunch of different featurettes on here. It has on here, though, the Best of DC TV's Comic-Con panels from San Diego Comic-Con 2018. It has a gag reel, deleted scenes on this one. And also in here, too, it has a episode guide here, too, which says, which episodes are on here, and also says, which episodes have deleted scenes and all that kind of stuff as well on this one. And the next one I got here is from Warner Brothers as well. They sent over a free copy of this one as well to let you guys know that this one was available. It's a movie here called The Sun Is Also a Star. This is basically, though, this all takes place in one day in New York City, and it's about this this guy played by Charles Melton, and that girl is played by Yara Shadadi. I believe that's how you say her name, and she's from the show Blackish, and then the show Grownish. And it's basically, though, which is a spin-off to Blackish. It's basically, though, about how the two meet, and her character, though, her family originally came from Jamaica, and they, she's lived in America for 9 years, and something happened with the immigration office, and her family are going to be getting sent back to Jamaica, and she has one day till they have to leave. So she's kind of going around the city, kind of talking to the immigration office, some of the immigration office says you should talk to this lawyer, they may be able to help you. So it's kind of her bouncing bouncing around trying to figure out if there's any way to have this ruling overturned and to stay there. But, you know, she's going on the subway and she ends up meeting the one guy there on the subway, and his character, though, is getting ready to go away to college, and he has kind of like big meetings with somebody that he has to go to, and all these things that he's going to, kind of preparing to go to college. And, you know, his mother is real serious about him in school, and that's all he needs to focus on and everything. And he ends up seeing her on the subway, and then he sees her again, you know, at the subway station, and it's kind of like he, you know, really likes this girl and really wants to kind of talk to her, and, you know, he's kind of following her to see where she goes. And then he ends up saving her life because she ends up almost getting hit by this car. And then it's essentially, though, when after he saves her, he's like, oh, he kind of believes in like destiny and, you know, fate and, you know, love at first sight and all that kind of stuff. And he's sort of saying, oh, I bet that if you spent the day with me, you would fall in love with me. I could make you fall in love with me if you spent the day with me. You'd see the way I am and everything and the kind of person I am. And she's like, oh, well, I only have an hour till I have to get to somewhere. And she's like, and he's like, oh, well maybe in an hour we can do it. And it's essentially, though, about them spending the day together, and then, you know, her in the back of her mind trying to figure out exactly, you know, kind of knowing that she's probably going to have to go back to Jamaica and sort of trying to fight the feelings for him and not sort of wanting that to happen at all because of what's going on, and her trying to figure out if she can figure out, you know, how to save, you know, her family from having to leave and talk to these people and everything. It's actually a really well done character piece, though, about all the things that they were going through in this one day. This has on here, though, a featurette on the making of this movie. And next one I got here is from Sony. This is from the Sony Pictures Classic line. It's a movie here called All Is True, which is directed by Kenneth Branagh. I believe I might be saying that wrong, though. He also, you know, he stars in here as well as William Shakespeare. He also directed Murder on the Orient Express, which I really like that one as well. This is a really, really well done character piece, really well shot. Cinematography in this movie is great. You know, it's basically, though, about the later days of William Shakespeare. This is after, you know, his theater had burnt down, and it's kind of him at the place where he's decided he's going to retire from writing. He's never going to write another play. He's kind of done, and he's going back to where he grew up to to see his kind of family again, and kind of it's like people are kind of around him kind of going, you're really not going to be writing anymore, you're done, and all this is kind of just like him reconnecting, and it's like kind of a family coming back together again with him, you know, with like the thing of not sort of seeing them for a long time. And it's like they say, a really well done character piece here. On here, though, it has a Q&A with the director on this one. It has a bunch of different featurettes, you know, behind the scenes featurettes on this one as well. The next one here is from Epic Pictures, and this is from the Dread Presents line. It's a movie here called Hoax. This is basically, though, about the, about Bigfoot, and about, like, in the beginning of this movie, though, you see Bigfoot, you know, attack these people, and then, like, you know, people getting killed by Bigfoot. And it's about these TV producers who, you know, do, like, a kind of like a ghost hunting kind of myths and legends kind of show, and you know they want to go out there where like these people had gone missing because they want to try and the one person, you know, like has been they're trying to find her. There's been all these missing posters and everything, and it's essentially, though, them going to try and find her at the same time as this area that they've, you know, heard that there's been Bigfoot encounters and things like that up there. So this whole team kind of comes together and goes out into this area in Colorado to kind of search the area to see if what they can find, see if they can film anything really interesting, to, you know, get like some really, you know, finally have like a sighting of Bigfoot and everything. And of course, though, they go out there, and it's kind of what ends up happening to them. And, you know, Adrienne Barbeau is in this movie. Brian Thompson, who's been in lots and lots of movies like, you know, Cobra and lots of different stuff. He's been, throughout the years, in lots of different movies. A lot of really cool 80s movies as well. There's some of like the ones I think of him from. The one, too, when he was out in the jungle with those girls that were models. Like, I think it might have been Hired to Kill. But this one, though, is you know, the locations, though, are really cool. It's like this beautiful setting where they filmed this one in this area of Colorado, like these great settings and everything. But on here, though, feature-wise, it has 2 audio commentaries with cast, crew, and filmmakers. It has interviews on here with the cast, like, you know, Brian Thompson, as well as Adrienne Barbeau, and the composer, Alan Harworth, you know, who worked with, you know, on a lot of the movies with John Carpenter doing the scores. Also has on here a Dread Central, you know, Dread Presents trailer reel as well on this one. The next one here is from Magnolia's Magnet line. It's a movie here called Anaria, Anaria. I do not know how to say this one correctly. Anaria. I'm totally saying this wrong, I'm sure. But this is basically, though, and this is an interesting concept and goes in these really interesting, out there, crazy directions. But it's basically, though, it's, set in the future where it's a huge vessel ship, this, that carries like thousands of people, and they're going on this mission to get to, I think it was that they were going to Mars because they were going to be like relocating to Mars. So it's kind of like if people are, deciding to leave Earth and go to Mars, they have to get on this long journey to get to it. So it's basically like a cruise ship is what it is, because they have like casinos and pools and spas and games and all kinds of stuff, on this cruise to get there. But what ends up happening, though, is something ends up happening, and like one of the engines gets blown, and the fuel gets dumped, and they basically have gotten to the predicament where they cannot go anywhere. They cannot get back to Earth. They cannot get to Mars, and they have to. In the very beginning, though, they say, oh, yeah, in 3 years we can slingshot around the sun, like this planet or something, and get back on course or something. But, after about 20 minutes into the movie, they say, yeah, right away, though, that that's not happening. And this is basically, though, about the result of being stuck on this ship and what goes on there, and like how things fall apart. And there's also this thing that people kind of go into this room where they lay on this like odd pillow, and like and they kind of like experience what it's like to be on Earth. And it's like this, it's a very, very trippy movie. Like I said, this movie goes in really crazy directions, and it follows around the main character in here is this woman who is, on the ship, and who's like kind of works there and everything. But really, really interesting. Really, really, like I said, the cool visuals on this one. Has a behind the scenes featurette, the one on here about the visual effects, the concept design, and art on this one, as well as the sound design. And the next one I got here is from Cinedigm. It's a movie here called Miss Arizona. This one, too, has a bunch of different cameos of people who pop up in here, like Missy Pyles in this movie, Steve Guttenberg, a couple other people. The main woman's husband is played by the actor who was, I always think of him from the movie House Arrest, which I always loved that movie, but he was the main kid in that. This is essentially, though, about this woman who was, crowned Miss Arizona a number of years back, and she had all these aspirations of being an actress and doing all these big things, but she ended up meeting her husband at the Miss Arizona pageant, and they got married real soon after, and he became this real successful agent to celebrities and actors and everything, and he kind of like made her kind of, because they had a kid right after they were married, and he kind of like didn't really want to help her with anything else, and didn't kind of wanted her to stay at home and kind of do everything that he was saying, run these errands, and kind of didn't like allow her to have her own life anymore. And he was going away in the beginning of this movie, though, to go to an award ceremony with one of his clients. And then he calls her real frantically on the phone saying, oh, you need to go to this luncheon with a bunch of the people that I work with. Their wives are all getting together at this club. You need to talk to them and see if you can get any information and talk to them, and that might help me get, a higher level, where I work, and I could make partner. And she's like, oh, all right, I'll go. And when she's there, though, one of the friends is saying how one of the people they work with ended up canceling doing this job they were supposed to do, going to this women's shelter, talking to them about life skills and job skills and everything, and they end up talking her into it, the main woman, into going to this place to help these women out. So she ends up going there, and she's like wearing her Miss Arizona crown, and she gets there and sort of realizing, though, when she's talking to these women who don't really want her to be there, and they kind of just want to be done so they can get out and do these other things they have to do, and she's kind of realizing, though, how she put everything aside as soon as she got married, and she hasn't done anything. And it's essentially, though, one of the women in there has this boyfriend who's coming back who's real dangerous, so they kind of have to leave together. So she takes all the people out of the women's shelter together, and it's kind of about them going on this adventure throughout the day and the things they're doing, and her kind of trying to kind of like some of the stuff that happens throughout the day, throughout the night. And it's also about them going to this, actually putting on this pageant at this drag club. And it was actually a really, really fun movie here. Like I said, there's a lot of cameos and stuff that pop up in this one. And the next one here is from Gravitas Ventures, and it's a movie here called Perception. This is a really interesting movie. Like, this is basically, though, about this woman who works with this psychic as a psychic, and this place where it's not doing too well. The owner, too, was great. I love the character who is the owner of the psychic place that she works at, and he's like the head of the place. But it's essentially, though, about this guy who kind of comes in there to tell them that, you know, his client, you know, has decided to sell, because he kind of works for the client who owns the building and everything, and he's decided he's going to tear down this building and end up, you know, reventilate, you know, turning it into something else more profitable, because like the areas are not really making a lot of money with what they have there. And when he goes in there, though, you know, the woman who's the psychic immediately has this kind of feeling like there's something to this guy, and she was like, I really want to give you a reading, I really want to talk to you. And basically though, she's saying, I know that you had a wife who recently died, and then he's like becomes sort of obsessed. He's like, oh, can you talk to her, can you tell me, because he's like kind of can't get over her death, and he's kind of seeing her everywhere he goes. He's like seeing people that look like her and everything. And essentially though, it's about like him together, you know, talking to this woman. And from there though, it goes into these crazy directions of what's going on and kind of what she's saying, and the sessions, and it kind of flashes back to, you know, how he met his wife, and kind of like you find out more and more and more about the relationship and everything as this one goes along. But like I said, it goes in these really interesting directions and really different kind of take on this whole thing here. Like I said, this one is called Perception from Gravitas Ventures. The next one's here. I have a link where you guys can order these ones for the best price, but these are all from Movie Zing. And this one here is from, these first two are from Tri-Coast, you know, and this one's from Tri-Coast Worldwide. The second one's from Tri-Coast Entertainment. This is a movie, though, called A Haunting at Park Hotel. And this is about, and it's all done in like one take, about this paranormal crew who is doing a show, going to this paranormal hotel where they had like weird things that happened in the past, and like they kind of going there to you know, investigate it. And it's kind of like going to be their big show. And you know, Tom Sizemore's in this movie too, and he you know, plays the guy who is like the groundskeeper of this building. So like he's in this movie for a little bit, and he's like saying like, oh, I don't know if you can go in there, I have to come along with you. And they're like, oh no, we can go in, we kind of have our own way of doing this show. So he's like, okay, you go ahead in. So he's sort of sitting out there waiting for him to go into this place. And it's basically though them going in there, you know, and little by little though they're finding out that, you know, there was something really in this place, and it kind of, you know, have been like making things up and kind of like, you know, faking things for the show, but they're finally going in somewhere where things like this are actually happening, and they're actually in there, you know, experiencing all this stuff going on. Like I said, this one here is called A Haunting in Park Hotel. This one is from Tri-Coast Entertainment. This one is called Bad Out of Hell, and this is about this documentary crew who just did finish a documentary on this like surfing documentary, which is like a real intricate one where they had like these great shots, like really well filmed documentary, and they end up getting this next assignment, and you know, this is all set in Australia, about this like bat, this kind of like big bat, kind of like creature who they believe that they've seen around in the area and everything. And it's kind of like kind of looks sort of like a Jeepers Creepers kind of thing, a little bit like somewhat kind of like that. And they end up you know, doing this documentary, kind of looking into this bat and going to these areas, talking to the people who have seen that and kind of their encounters. And it's essentially them going out there in this, and then, you know, this thing kind of coming after them, and them kind of trying to survive, and the whole thing that they go through. But it was actually pretty well done here. Like I said, this one here is called Bat Out of Hell. And this one here is from Movie Zing as well. And this is from, you know, Ruthless Studios. It's a movie here called It's Here. And this is an anthology horror film that has like I can't remember for sure how many different segments were on here, but this is from the studio that brought you Strange Events and All Hallows Eve, you know, which is where the character of, you know, the Terrifier character came from, was from the first All Hallows Eve movie. And this is basically though about it's like, it kind of starts off with this really cool opening, this animated opening of like these clowns and stuff. And it's a bunch of different stories. And this, you know, when it comes to anthology, it's always hard to kind of explain all the stories. One of them was kind of like a voodoo doll kind of thing in here. And then I think one of them was like a camping segment, I believe. But it was like actually pretty well done segments in this one. And some pretty actually creepy stuff on this one. Like I said, this one here is called It's Here. And the next one here is also from Movie Zing as well. This is also a 1091 release as well as the company. And it's a movie here called called Incredible Violence. And this was an interesting movie. This is basically, though, about this guy who's this director, and he's done some movies, and he kind of like, he got this money, he got like $250,000 to make his next movie. And he kind of was putting it off, and it was supposed to happen, and he didn't end up doing it, and he ended up blowing through all the money. He used up all the money, and he borrowed it from these people, and he got the money from these, like, this group of these investors that were like people that he kind of knows if he doesn't pay it back, it's not going to be good for him. They're probably going to come after him, and it will really not be good. So essentially, though, he, like, his one friend says, "Whoa, this one filmmaker did this thing, and he, like, killed these people," and he was like saying, made it look real and everything. And what you could do is, you could do that. You could, get a group of actors for free, and you don't have to pay for special effects or anything. You could actually just kill them and have cameras in the house. So he ends up getting this house that he gets for really cheap. Like, pretty much, I think he gets it for free. He rents it this house that is like on the market to sell, kind of in the middle of nowhere, and he puts cameras all around the house. Doesn't really tell the actors what's going on. And he just kind of puts cameras in there, kind of like Real World, Big Brother style. And they're in there, and then he's in there, of course, going around killing them one by one, and they're kind of locked in this house, and they're trying to figure out exactly what they're going to do. This is actually kind of an interesting and kind of a cool concept movie here. The next one here is from 4 Digital Media, and it's a movie here called Pentagram. And I really love the cover to this one. This has like a cool shine look to this, the way it looks here. And this is about a group of these friends, who are kind of going the road. They're kind of getting ready to driving cross country to go to L.A., and they don't really have a lot of money to get there and everything. And along the way, though, they're kind of going and like robbing places, like kind of like diners and things like that, just like kind of to get money. And they end up robbing this diner. And, along the way, right when they're leaving, like the woman who's like in the diner that works there shoots the tire, and, they end up, not getting too far away because it's like sort of like a slow leak in the tire. So they kind of break down like in the road, like a couple miles up the road, and they're kind of like, well, what are we going to do? This woman could come after us. What are we going to do? So they kind of go and wander around and leave the car and come across this house. And in the house, though, there's this guy in there doing this ritual, and he painted like a pentagram on the ground, and it's essentially like him in there, and it's like him doing some kind of like a sacrifice or something. And what ends up happening, though, is the one person ends up the group of the people end up find their way into this pentagram, and then the guy like leaves and like says, "You can't leave this pentagram, and like if you do, terrible things are happening, you're gonna die." And they're basically trapped in there, and they're kind of figuring out how they're gonna get out and what they have to do to get free from this pentagram. It's like sort of them trying to figure out what to do. At the same time, it's about the one from the diner trying to find them and track them down and everything. This is actually a pretty cool movie here, though. And the next one I got here is from 101 Films. It's a movie here called Cleaver's Killer Clowns. Like I said, this is from 101 Films. They're starting to release titles in the U.S. I think this is the second movie they've released in the U.S. because they're originally a U.K. company, and they've been putting out stuff out here. So it's really cool they're having, they're getting U.S. releases now out here. And this is a movie, though. It's basically, though, about these 2 cops who are tracking down this ice cream van with this crazy guy who's like this killer clown, going around and killing people. And the one cop, though, he ends up getting killed when they track down in the very beginning of this movie the ice cream van. And then she ends up, the clown ends up getting away, and it's 5 years later, and she's kind of obsessed with what's happened because this one kid was kidnapped by this clown, and she's become fully obsessed with this thing. So she's kind of going around from town to town to town, trying to see if she can finally find this clown and track him down, because she was like, so close to getting him, and he ended up getting away. So she's become like obsessed, and it's like her in this one town that she gets to, and the cop there who works there is like, "You need to move on. I know what you've done, and I know what you've been through, but you can't be in this town. You don't have any jurisdiction here or anything." And of course, though, that this is the town where this clown is going to show up, because then this group of these people are out there, and this clown is kind of coming after them, and she's kind of on the trail of trying to find this clown finally. And it goes in this really crazy directions. But if you guys like crazy killer clowns movies and stuff like that, definitely check this one out. This is actually a really, really fun movie. The next one here is from This is from Scream Team Releasing. You guys can get this one from their website. This is a double feature here, which has 2 different films. It has Camp Killer and Maniac Farmer. And Camp Killer, though, was that was filmed in Baltimore, because I originally from Baltimore, and I moved out here in 2010. So like I knew some people involved in the making of this one, and it was cool too. One of the people who was acting in here in the jail scene was an old friend of mine, Victor, and he was in here. So that was really cool to see him acting in this movie. He was in some of my vlogs and stuff like that before I moved. But it was really, really cool to see Victor in this movie. But this is basically, though, about a group of these, it starts off with these group of these friends telling the story about kind of like this history about like this, you know, this campground that they were on that used to be this camp, but, you know, it hasn't been a camp for years, and there's this crazy killer there. And of course, though, they end up getting themselves attacked and killed by this killer, and it's about the one person, you know, getting away. This is the very beginning of this movie, and then getting into this police station. And it's kind of like it goes in these different directions to than you would expect. The other movie here, Maniac Farmer, kind of has a vibe of the movie The Slaughter a little bit. I believe that was our Slaughterhouse, I think. Yeah, I think there's Slaughterhouse. It kind of has that vibe a little bit, but these were both really fun movies, and it has a bunch of different features on here. Like it has a director's and actor commentary track, outtakes, theatrical trailers, making of featurettes. Like I said, though, and also the Camp Killer, though, Ari Lehman, you know, who was the first Jason and you know, stars in this movie as well. The next two here are Australian releases, and these ones are both region free, so you guys can watch these ones no problem on, you know, any you know, US Blu-ray player. And these are two of the Delirium, Drive-In Delirium series, and I think these might be volume 4 and 5 of them. I think they might have released three of these in the past. I'm not 100% sure, but these ones here are two different ones. Drive-In Delirium with a Vengeance, which is 157 action science fiction trailers, uncensored and remastered in high definition, and then Drive-In Dead by Dawn is, you know, horror trailers on this one. And essentially, though, these are just compilation discs, compilation Blu-rays of trailers, but they're not just like, you know, where they're in like standard definition or anything. These are like the remastered trailers, so look really, really good. Great picture quality in these ones, and there are some really rare ones that have never been released on Blu-ray before. So it's really cool. There's like Neon Maniacs on here, and they even had like Teen Wolf and like you know more known ones as well, like Teen Wolf and things like that. So there's some comedy ones mixed in, but a lot of like grindhouse, underground, lesser known films. Some, like I said, some more known ones as well. But like I said, though, one of the guys know these ones are available, and they also include as features Bride of VHS Delirium, which is, you know, the standard definition trailer compilations on these ones, and also Son of Delirium VHS Delirium. It has like the VHS quality versions of trailers on them as well. The next one here, though, is from VCI. This is one I want to let you guys know is available. And this is The Vanishing Shadow, and this is a Universal serial, which is like, you know, one of those things where you would go to the movies. I think that's how it works, was like you would in like these were like in the 30s, and they had like some that were like Batman and like Spider and then Superman, and it was kind of like, I think how it worked was you would go to like the movies, and then like each week you'd see like a part of them, and like the next week you'd see the other part, and I think they like ran before things. I'm not 100% sure, but like this though is like the whole series of the Vanishing Shadow serial series, which had never been released before on like any format. I believe it was never on any kind of home video format, it says. And like I said, that's one of the guys know that this one was available from BCI. The next one here, though, is from Strand Releasing, and there's nothing really bad on the cover. I just covered it just so no one said anything. And it's a movie here called Ecstasy. This is a really trippy, well-shot, cool music, cinematography movie here about this guy who was kind of like, from this book and stuff that he read, he's kind of become like obsessed with like finding this one woman. It's kind of about him. It's sort of hard to explain, but he's traveling around the desert trying to find someone, and he's kind of, there's points too when you don't know if he's kind of imagining what he's seeing or if there's kind of things in his mind, and it kind of, and he has kind of like flashbacks to things that happened to him in his past. But it's a really trippy, out there, like I said, well shot, interesting movie here, and this one is called Ecstasy. And the next one I got here is from Uncorked Films, and the director sent me a copy of this one. It's directed by Kyle Carvine, and I worked with him years and years back on one of the very first movies I ever did called Assault of the Sasquatch. He was one of the actors in the film, and that's kind of how we first met, and we were in a couple other things throughout the years as well. But this movie, though, you know, Dee Wallace is one of the stars of this movie, and it's basically, though, about this guy whose mother recently died, and he goes back to her house, and he's kind of there to try and work on his next kids book, try and get like inspiration and everything, and he had some really successful kids books in the past. And, you know, in this house, though, he sees these really weird, creepy dolls, and the dolls are kind of like moving around a little bit. Like it's like they're in one spot and then all of a sudden they're kind of somewhere else, or they look like they moved a little bit. And he's in there trying to work on this book, and then his daughter ends up coming there because she wants to get away from the mother, and she can't deal with the mother and everything. So she comes to the house to stay with him, and as soon as she gets there though, she's noticing that these dolls are really weird as well, that they're going from one spot to another, or like she thought they saw them one time in one place and then they're gone all of a sudden, then they're back. And it's essentially though kind of like trying to figure out what's going on in this house with these dolls, and it kind of gets worse and worse and worse, and you kind of find out more and more about like the history of these dolls as they go along, and the history of things that happen in this house. But this one has on here, feature wise, it has a audio commentary with cast and crew on this one. And the last one's here from Bayview Entertainment. It's 3 different ones here. 2 of them are anthology films. The first one here is a movie called Creepy Tales of Pizza and Gore, and I love the way that this is laid out here. It's like a VHS tape. It has on here though horror, be kind, rewind. I love the look of this cover here. But this is a throwback style. It's an Italian horror anthology film. It's all like the segments in here are like throwback to like the VHS kind of shot on video movies of the 80s, and it has like super throwbacks in here, some really fun gore effects and everything in this one. Really fun movie. This one here, and these 2 here are both from the same director, from Mark Gavay, and this one is Post Manitou, and then the same circles. Post Manitou is an anthology film. This one had on here a bunch of different segments, anthology segments. And the same circle, though, was about this, guy who was with his wife, and basically something horrible had happened to them, and they went through a horrible thing, and it's essentially what happens to the wife and what she does because of that. And it's him going, because of what his wife had done, him going and getting revenge and trying to track down the people that did this to them and kind of going after them. It's like a crazy revenge film here. Like I said, though, one of you let you guys know that these ones were available from Bayview Entertainment. But anyway, though, guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching, subscribing, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.